Part 5. The Bundle. 5 years, one chat app, and the EU deal that ended without a fine. A sourced look at cloud economics. Every claim links to its source. Nothing here alleges a crime. The striking part is that it is all legal and disclosed. For years, if you bought Microsoft's Office suite, Teams came with it. Pre-installed, hard to remove, and, a rival argued, quietly subsidized by the thing you actually came to buy. That rival was Slack. And in 2020 it decided to make its grievance a legal one. To be clear up front, what follows is a 5-year arc of a complaint, an investigation, a preliminary charge, and a settlement, not a verdict. The case ended without anyone being found to have broken the law. On 22 July 2020, Slack Technologies filed a competition complaint against Microsoft with the European Commission. Slack accused Microsoft of illegally tying Teams to its dominant Office suite, force installing it for millions, blocking its removal, and hiding the true cost to enterprise customers. Slack. Quinn Emanuel. In Slack's own words, Microsoft had illegally tied its Teams product into its market-dominant Office productivity suite, force installing it for millions, blocking its removal, and hiding the true cost to enterprise customers. Slack. Those are Slack's words and Slack's allegations. Not findings, and not mine. For 3 years, not much moved in public. 40,721. Into whether Microsoft abused a dominant position by tying Teams to Office 365 and Microsoft 365, and by limiting interoperability with rival communication tools. European Commission. SiliconANGLE. Opening proceedings is the start of an inquiry, not the end of one. It says the regulator has questions, not that it has answers. Microsoft moved before it was charged. Effective 1 October 2023. It unbundled Teams from Microsoft 365 and Office 365 across the European Economic Area and Switzerland, selling the suites without Teams at a lower price, about €2/month less, and offering Teams as a standalone product. Microsoft. This was Microsoft's own voluntary change, and Microsoft framed it as addressing the Commission's concerns. The Commission would later disagree that it went far enough. On 25 June 2024, the Commission sent Microsoft a statement of objections, setting out its preliminary view that Microsoft had breached Article 102 TFUE by tying Teams to its business suites. The Commission stressed the step does not prejudge the outcome. European Commission. TechCrunch. This is the boundary that matters, so read it slowly. A statement of objections is a preliminary charge, not a ruling, as TechCrunch put it at the time. No final decision or fines have been imposed. TechCrunch. And in that preliminary assessment, the Commission's view was that Microsoft's 2023 unbundling was not enough, that further changes were necessary to restore competition. TechCrunch. The first fix, in the regulator's preliminary telling, needed to go further, so Microsoft came back with more. In May 2025, it proposed revised commitments, offering the suites without Teams at an appreciably lower price, giving customers recurring chances to switch, building interoperability for competing tools, and letting customers export their Teams data. The Commission opened those commitments to a market test. Microsoft. Slaughter and May. Microsoft's framing of its own offer was confident. It said the commitments represent a clear and complete resolution to the concerns raised by our competitors. Microsoft. That's Microsoft's characterization of its own proposal. On 12 September 2025, the Commission accepted Microsoft's commitments and made them legally binding under Article 9 of Regulation 1/2003. TechCrunch. Loyens and Loaf. Here is the legal punchline, and it cuts both ways. An Article 9 decision, by design, resolves a case without any finding or admission that Microsoft infringed EU law, and without a fine. As Loyens and Loaf explain, Article 9 allows the Commission to make commitments legally binding without formally concluding whether an infringement occurred. Loyens and Loaf. What Microsoft is now bound to do is real. The commitments run 7 years, and the interoperability and data portability obligations last 10 years, overseen by a monitoring trustee. TechCrunch. Loyens and Loaf. The Commission's competition chief, Teresa Ribera, said the decision makes binding for 7 years or more Microsoft's commitments to put an end to its tying practices. TechCrunch. Then the complaints fell away. Following the market test, both complainants, Slack owned by Salesforce and AlphaView, withdrew their complaints against Microsoft. CNBC. A withdrawal is not an admission of wrongdoing by anyone. It is the parties stepping back. Microsoft did not treat this as a loss, and in fairness, the legal record supports its framing. The company said it is pleased to have resolved this matter, and characterized its commitments as a clear and complete resolution to competitor concerns. Microsoft. No infringement was found. No fine was paid. Opinion. Michael, I'm not telling you Microsoft broke the law. The commission never found that. The case closed without a finding, and there was no fine, so neither will I. What I keep turning over is the shape of it. 5 years, 2 rounds of fixes, a binding 10-year leash on interoperability. And the trigger was simply a chat app writing in on a product you'd already decided to buy. You don't need a villain for default installed software to bend a market. You just need the bundle to be the path of least resistance. The tell, for me, is that the first fix wasn't enough and the second one runs a decade. That's not the language of a non-issue. Bad systems, not bad people, and a commitments file that will be quietly enforced long after the headlines move on. You don't have to take my read. The complaint, the statement of objections, Microsoft's own announcements, and the law firm breakdowns of the Article 9 decision are all linked above. Judge them yourself. Every number in this video is in the company's own filings. You do not have to take it on faith. Check each source yourself at the Evidence Explorer, linked in the description. This was part 5 of a source series. Bad systems, not bad people.